The quantum drive of the exploration vessel hummed with a subtle vibration that resonated through its crystalline hull. Captain Lyran Tak studied the incoming data streams, her multiple sensory organs processing information with practiced efficiency. The blue-green planet hung before them, a seemingly unremarkable sphere suspended in the vast darkness of space. "Initial scans commencing," announced Zara, the ship's primary data analyst. Her voice carried a note of professional boredom, typical of seasoned galactic researchers who had surveyed hundreds of planetary systems. The holographic displays flickered to life, casting soft azure light across the ship's observation deck. The vessel represented the pinnacle of Zarkai technological achievement. Constructed from adaptive quantum reactive materials, it could transform its internal configuration based on mission parameters. Its surface shifted subtly, mimicking the surrounding space to enhance stealth capabilities. Sensors more advanced than entire planetary research networks began their meticulous examination of Earth. First came the orbital suites, satellite networks, primitive by galactic standards, drifted in carefully mapped orbits. The Zarkai analysts chuckled at the rudimentary communication infrastructure, metal and silicon constructs that seemed almost quaint compared to their own quantum entanglement communication systems. Navigation satellites, communication relays, and observation platforms created a thin technological skin around the planet. Atmospheric composition analysis, Zora reported, her tentacle-like appendages dancing across the holographic interface. Oxygen-nitrogen mix, carbon-based ecosystem, remarkably unstable by our standards. Her tone suggested mild derision. Planets with such volatile atmospheric compositions typically suggested immature ecosystems, prone to rapid and unpredictable changes. Captain Tak leaned forward, her iridescent exoskeleton catching the soft light. Years of exploration had taught her to look beyond initial impressions. "Detailed surface mapping," she commanded, her voice a melodic blend of harmonic frequencies that served as both communication and subtle emotional transmission. The ship's quantum processors began their work. Layers of planetary data began to unfold. Geological surveys revealed a planet of remarkable diversity. Massive tectonic plates created landscapes of extraordinary variation. Mountain ranges that touched the sky, deep ocean trenches that plunged into darkness, vast desert regions, and frozen polar landscapes. Each terrain told a story of geological complexity. "Surface population distribution," announced a junior analyst, bringing up a three-dimensional representation of human settlements. Clusters of light indicated urban centers, connected by intricate networks of transportation infrastructure. Roads, railways, shipping lanes, and aerial corridors created a web of connectivity that seemed almost organic in its complexity. The first hint of something unusual began to emerge. These settlements didn't follow the predictable patterns of most developing civilizations. They weren't merely clustered around resource-rich areas or strategic geographical locations. Humans had created habitats in seemingly impossible environments. Coastal megacities, underground complexes, floating maritime settlements, and research stations in the most extreme planetary regions. Preliminary biological scans, Zura continued, her excitement growing despite her attempts to maintain professional detachment. The data revealed organisms of fascinating adaptability. Humans appeared physically unremarkable. No natural weapons, no extraordinary physical capabilities. Yet their survival rates in diverse environments suggested something more complex. Captain Tak's sensory organs detected subtle electromagnetic fluctuations that didn't match the standard planetary radiation patterns. Something about this world was different. The seemingly chaotic human civilization carried an underlying current of potential that defied conventional galactic understanding. A junior navigator made a soft chirping sound that translated to laughter in Zarkai communication. "Another primitive world," he suggested, looking to his colleagues for affirmation. "We'll complete the survey in standard cycles and move on." But Captain Tak remained silent. Her experienced sensors detected something her younger crew members missed: patterns of innovation, systems of unexpected complexity. a civilization on the cusp of something remarkable. The quantum sensors continued their work, peeling back layer after layer of planetary data. Each revelation suggested that this survey would be anything but routine. Somewhere on the surface of this blue-green world, something extraordinary was waiting to be discovered. Little did the SciFi know how profoundly their understanding of planetary potential was about to change. The detailed analysis of human civilization began in earnest. Data streams cascaded across the ship's holographic displays, painting a picture that both confused and amused the SciFi research team. What they saw appeared to be a species trapped in a perpetual state of technological adolescence. Dr. Kex, the lead xenosociologist, manipulated the holographic projections with practiced movements. His multiple sensory tendrils extended, highlighting various data points that seemed to confirm their initial assessment. Human societies appeared fragmented, divided by invisible lines of political and cultural boundaries. Resources were unevenly distributed, with some regions experiencing extreme wealth while others struggled with basic survival needs. Observe their energy production, he commented to a group of junior researchers. The display showed a patchwork of energy generation methods: fossil fuel plants belching carbon into the atmosphere, nuclear facilities generating power through primitive fission techniques, scattered renewable energy installations that seemed more like experimental patches than cohesive infrastructure. The transportation networks told a similar story of apparent inefficiency. Ground-based vehicles powered by combustion engines crawled through congested urban landscapes. Aerial transportation relied on fossil fuel-driven machines that seemed remarkably unstable. Maritime shipping used technologies that appeared centuries behind the SciFi's quantum propulsion systems. Communication networks presented another layer of apparent chaos. Multiple competing systems, wireless networks that seemed vulnerable to interference, satellite-based communications that appeared to be in constant flux. The researchers noted with mild amusement the humans' reliance on handheld devices that seemed more like temporary extensions of their biological communication rather than integrated technological systems. Agricultural practices revealed further signs of technological immaturity. Vast tracts of land dedicated to food production using methods that seemed incredibly labor-intensive and environmentally impactful. Genetic modification existed, but in a rudimentary form that paled in comparison to galactic standards of biological engineering. Their medical technology is particularly amusing, Dr. Kex noted, bringing up a holographic representation of human healthcare systems. Invasive surgical procedures, pharmaceutical interventions that seemed more like crude chemical warfare against biological processes rather than precise medical interventions. Genetic treatments that scratched the surface of true biological potential. The military analysis proved equally enlightening. Human defense systems appeared fragmented and inefficient. Multiple national entities maintained separate military infrastructures. Weapon technologies that relied on explosive projectiles and primitive energy-based systems. Defensive strategies that seemed more reactive than proactive. Yet, beneath these surface impressions, something more complex began to emerge. The SciFi researchers found themselves increasingly intrigued by the subtle nuances of human adaptation. Their communication networks, while seemingly chaotic, demonstrated an extraordinary ability to redistribute information. What appeared inefficient actually contained remarkable resilience. When one communication pathway failed, multiple alternatives would emerge almost instantaneously. Similarly, their energy production, though primitive, showed signs of rapid innovation. Renewable energy technologies were expanding at an exponential rate. Solar, wind, and emerging fusion technologies suggested a species on the cusp of a significant technological breakthrough. Agricultural practices revealed another layer of complexity. Vertical farming techniques, genetic research that pushed the boundaries of food production, urban farming initiatives that transformed city landscapes into productive ecosystems. Dr. Kex's junior researchers began to notice something their initial assessment had missed. Humans possessed an extraordinary capacity for rapid iteration. Technologies that seemed primitive in one generation would be completely transformed in the next. Their innovation cycle moved at a pace that defied conventional galactic understanding. They are like a complex biological algorithm, one researcher observed, constantly testing, failing, adapting, and improving. The ship's quantum processors continued to parse through massive amounts of data. Each new analysis revealed another layer of unexpected complexity. What initially appeared as weakness began to look more like a unique form of technological and social resilience. Captain Antak watched the ongoing analysis with growing interest. Her experienced sensory organs detected subtle patterns that her younger crew members missed. This was not a primitive civilization. This was a species in rapid, unpredictable evolution. As the planetary survey continued, the Zarkay researchers found themselves increasingly uncertain about their initial assessment. Humanity was something entirely different from what their databases suggested. Something remarkable was brewing on this blue-green planet, and they were just beginning to understand its true potential. The quantum sensors of the Zarkay vessel began to penetrate deeper layers of planetary data, revealing a complexity that challenged everything the research team understood about developing civilizations. What had initially appeared as chaos was transforming into an intricate tapestry of human innovation and adaptation. Lead researcher Dr. Kex found himself increasingly perplexed. The holographic displays shifted, revealing patterns that defied conventional understanding. Humans had transformed environments that should have been uninhabitable into thriving ecosystems of human potential. The Antarctic Research Station stood as a testament to this unexpected resilience. Massive scientific complexes nestled amid the most extreme conditions on the planet. Researchers lived and worked in environments where temperatures plummeted to levels that would destroy most biological systems. They had developed intricate life support technologies, renewable energy systems, and communication networks that maintained constant contact with the rest of the world. Equally remarkable were the desert reclamation projects. Entire regions once considered wastelands now bloomed with carefully engineered agricultural systems. Vertical farming techniques combined with advanced water conservation technologies had transformed arid landscapes. Solar energy installations covered vast stretches of desert, converting unforgiving terrain into productive energy generation zones. "Look at this," Dr. Kex called to his research team, manipulating the holographic display. Ocean-based cities rose from the waves, floating platforms that combined residential, agricultural, and energy production capabilities. These were not mere experimental structures, but fully functional communities that had solved multiple environmental challenges simultaneously. The underwater research facilities presented another layer of unexpected complexity. Humans had developed technologies to explore and inhabit the deepest ocean trenches. Pressurized habitats, advanced life support systems, and communication networks that maintained constant contact with surface installations. Each facility represented a microcosm of human problem-solving. Geological data revealed perhaps the most surprising insight. Humans had developed technologies to monitor and potentially mitigate planetary-scale environmental changes, climate monitoring systems that spanned entire continents, predictive models that could anticipate environmental shifts with remarkable accuracy, restoration projects that sought to repair ecological damage. Their approach to planetary management is fascinating. One junior researcher observed, "They are not just surviving. They are actively trying to understand and preserve their planetary ecosystem." The research team discovered something even more intriguing in their analysis of human knowledge systems. Their educational and research infrastructures operated with a level of interconnectivity that seemed almost organic. Open-source research platforms, collaborative scientific networks that crossed national and cultural boundaries, knowledge shared at speeds that seemed to defy traditional information distribution models. Medical research presented another area of unexpected sophistication. Genetic therapies that could address complex hereditary conditions. Personalized medical treatments that adapted to individual biological profiles. Technological interventions that blurred the lines between medical treatment and biological enhancement. Space exploration initiatives told a story of persistent ambition. Despite limited resources, humans had sent exploration missions to multiple planetary bodies within their solar system. robotic missions, orbital research stations, preliminary plans for long-term planetary colonization. Each mission represented a leap of imagination that exceeded their current technological capabilities. The quantum processors continued to parse through layers of data. Each new analysis revealed another dimension of human potential. Their social systems, while appearing chaotic, contained remarkable adaptive capabilities. When one approach failed, multiple alternative solutions would emerge almost simultaneously. Dr. Kex noticed something profound in the data streams. Humans possessed an extraordinary capacity for collective problem-solving. Individual limitations were consistently overcome through collaborative innovation. What appeared weak at an individual level transformed into extraordinary potential at a collective level. Cultural diversity, which initially seemed like a source of conflict, revealed itself as a powerful evolutionary advantage. Different perspectives, multiple approaches to solving the same challenge, a constant state of creative tension that drove continuous innovation. Captain Tak observed the ongoing analysis with growing fascination. Her experienced sensory organs detected a pattern that her younger crew members missed. This was not just a developing civilization. This was a species on the brink of a fundamental transformation. The ship's databanks began to struggle with categorization. Existing galactic classification systems seemed inadequate to describe the complexity of human potential. They were witnessing something unprecedented, a civilization that defied conventional understanding. As the planetary survey continued, the Zarkai researchers found themselves asking a question they had never considered before. What might happen when this species fully realized its potential? The blue-green planet continued to spin silently, holding secrets that were just beginning to be understood. The technological analysis entered a new phase of discovery. What had begun as a routine planetary survey was transforming into something far more complex. The Zarkai research team found themselves confronting a technological ecosystem that defied their most fundamental assumptions about developing civilizations. Chief Technology Analyst Fren moved through the holographic displays with increasing excitement. Each new layer of data revealed another dimension of human technological potential. The communication networks were particularly fascinating. A living, breathing system of information exchange that seemed to evolve in real time. Internet infrastructure emerged as a marvel of adaptive design. What appeared on the surface to be a simple network of connected devices was actually a sophisticated, self-healing communication system. When one pathway was compromised, multiple alternative routes would emerge almost instantaneously. The system demonstrated a level of resilience that mimicked biological adaptation. Quantum computing research showed signs of breakthrough potential. While still in early stages, human scientists were developing computational methods that challenged established galactic understanding. Quantum entanglement experiments suggested they were on the cusp of technologies that most advanced civilizations took centuries to develop. The transportation revolution proved equally impressive. Autonomous vehicle technologies were rapidly transforming urban landscapes. Electric and hydrogen-powered transportation systems were replacing fossil fuel infrastructure at an unprecedented rate. Urban planning had begun to integrate transportation as a dynamic adaptive system rather than a static infrastructure. Artificial intelligence development presented the most intriguing technological frontier. Humans were creating learning systems that could adapt, improve, and solve complex problems across multiple domains. Machine learning algorithms that could diagnose medical conditions, predict environmental changes, and solve intricate engineering challenges. "Look at this," Vren called to his colleagues, highlighting a series of complex algorithms. They are developing adaptive intelligence systems that can learn and modify themselves. The implications were profound. These were not just computational tools but emerging forms of technological intelligence. Renewable energy technologies demonstrated another layer of innovative potential. Solar efficiency had improved exponentially. Wind energy systems had become remarkably sophisticated. Emerging fusion research suggested they were close to solving one of their civilization's most significant energy challenges. The research team discovered something even more remarkable than their analysis of human technological development. Unlike many galactic civilizations that relied on centralized technological innovation, humans had created a distributed innovation ecosystem, open-source platforms, collaborative research networks, individual inventors working alongside massive research institutions. Biotechnology research revealed another dimension of human potential: genetic engineering techniques that could address complex hereditary conditions, regenerative medicine that blurred the lines between treatment and biological enhancement, preliminary research into human augmentation that suggested a profound understanding of biological systems. Space exploration technologies continued to surprise the SciFi researchers: reusable rocket systems, advanced propulsion research, preliminary designs for interplanetary habitation. Each technological step demonstrated a remarkable capacity for innovation that exceeded their current capabilities. Dr. Kex noticed a profound pattern in the technological data. Human innovation didn't follow a linear progression. It moved in unpredictable bursts of creativity. A single breakthrough could trigger multiple technological transformations across different domains. Their innovation cycle operated more like a complex biological system than a structured technological development process. Artificial intelligence development presented the most profound technological frontier. Humans were creating learning systems that could adapt, improve, and solve complex problems across multiple domains. Machine learning algorithms that could diagnose medical conditions, predict environmental changes, and solve intricate engineering challenges. The quantum processors continued to parse through massive amounts of data. Communication networks demonstrated an organic quality of adaptation. When traditional infrastructure failed, alternative systems would emerge: mesh networks, satellite communications, decentralized communication platforms that could operate independently. Captain Ntok watched the ongoing analysis with growing fascination. Her experienced sensory organs detected something her younger crew members missed. This was not just technological development. This was a species learning to reshape reality through innovation. The ship's data banks began to struggle with categorization. Existing galactic classification systems seemed inadequate to describe the complexity of human technological potential. They were witnessing a civilization on the brink of a fundamental technological transformation. As the planetary survey continued, the SciFi researchers found themselves asking a question they had never considered before: what might happen when this species fully unleashed its technological potential? The blue-green planet continued to spin silently, holding technological secrets that were just beginning to be understood. The biological analysis team prepared their most advanced scanning systems to examine human physiological capabilities. What they discovered would challenge everything they understood about survival and adaptation. Lead xenobiologist Dr. Sarek initiated the comprehensive biological scan, his multi-sensory appendages moving with practiced precision across the holographic interfaces. The initial data streams painted a picture of seemingly unremarkable organic systems. Humans appeared fragile: no natural armor, limited sensory capabilities, minimal physical strength compared to most galactic species. Yet, as the scans penetrated deeper, a far more complex narrative emerged. Humans possessed an extraordinary capacity for biological adaptation that defied conventional understanding. Their immune systems operated like living, learning networks. Each exposure to environmental challenges triggered rapid genetic responses that modified cellular structures. The Arctic research stations provided the first profound insight. Humans had developed biological and technological adaptations to survive in environments that would destroy most known life forms. Specialized clothing, advanced metabolic management techniques, psychological training that allowed them to maintain cognitive function in extreme cold. Desert survival research revealed another layer of biological complexity. Humans could modify their hydration systems, adjust metabolic rates, and develop specialized skin protection mechanisms. They had learned to survive in environments with minimal water, extreme temperature variations, and limited food resources. High-altitude research presented yet another dimension of human adaptability. Populations living in mountain regions had developed unique hemoglobin variations that allowed more efficient oxygen absorption. Genetic adaptations that improved cardiovascular performance in low oxygen environments. Cognitive systems that could maintain complex decision-making under extreme physiological stress. "Look at this," Dr. Sarek called to his research team, highlighting a series of complex genetic markers. Human populations demonstrated localized genetic adaptations that went far beyond simple environmental response. Populations in different planetary regions had developed unique biological characteristics that allowed them to thrive in specific environments. Marine research revealed perhaps the most surprising biological capabilities. Humans had developed sophisticated diving technologies, but more importantly, they had studied and understood deep-sea physiological challenges, specialized breathing techniques, psychological training to manage extreme pressure environments, technological and biological interfaces that extended human exploration capabilities. The medical research databases told an even more fascinating story. Humans were not just adapting to their environment. They were actively working to understand and modify their biological limitations. Genetic therapies that could address complex hereditary conditions, regenerative medicine techniques that pushed the boundaries of biological restoration. Psychological adaptability proved equally remarkable. Humans demonstrated an extraordinary capacity to survive psychological trauma. Complex social support systems, mental health research that went beyond simple treatment into understanding the deeper mechanisms of human resilience. Space exploration research revealed another dimension of human potential. Preliminary studies on physiological responses to zero-gravity environments. Radiation protection research. Psychological training for long-duration space missions. They were preparing to extend their biological capabilities beyond their planetary boundaries. Dr. Sarek noticed something profound in the biological data streams. Human survival was not about individual physical capability, but about collective adaptive potential. Where individual humans appeared weak, their social systems and technological innovations compensated for biological limitations. The quantum processors continued to parse through massive amounts of biological data. Each new analysis revealed another layer of unexpected complexity. Humans were not just surviving. They were actively working to understand and expand their biological potential. Reproductive research demonstrated another fascinating aspect of human adaptation. Complex mate selection processes, sophisticated understanding of genetic compatibility, cultural and technological systems that supported diverse reproductive strategies. Captain Tak observed the ongoing biological analysis with growing fascination. Her experienced sensory organs detected a pattern that her younger crew members missed. This was not just a species adapting to survival. This was a species actively working to transcend its biological limitations. The ship's biological databases began to struggle with categorization. Existing galactic classification systems seemed inadequate to describe the complexity of human biological potential. They were witnessing a species on the brink of a fundamental biological transformation. As the planetary survey continued, the Zarkada researchers found themselves asking a question they had never considered before. What might happen when this species fully understood its biological potential? The blue-green planet continued to spin silently, holding biological secrets that were just beginning to be understood. The military analysis team approached their task with a mixture of professional detachment and growing intrigue. What had initially appeared to be a fragmented defensive infrastructure was revealing itself as something far more complex and sophisticated. Chief Strategic Analyst Commander Vex initiated the comprehensive defensive systems scan. The holographic displays began to populate with layers of information that challenged every preconceived notion about human military capabilities. What seemed like disorganized national defense systems was actually a deeply interconnected global defensive network. Satellite reconnaissance systems demonstrated an extraordinary level of planetary monitoring. Global positioning networks that could track movement with unprecedented precision. Communication interception capabilities that operated across multiple technological platforms. Early warning systems that could detect potential threats from multiple vectors. Terrestrial, aerial, and space-based. Cybersecurity infrastructure emerged as a particularly fascinating defensive mechanism. Humans had developed adaptive defense systems that could respond to technological threats in real time. Artificial intelligence-driven security protocols that could identify, isolate, and neutralize potential cyber intrusions almost instantaneously. Each attempted breach triggered a learning response that improved the entire defensive network. The transportation infrastructure revealed another layer of defensive potential. Every major highway system could be rapidly converted into emergency logistics and military transport routes. Railway networks could become massive troop and resource movement platforms. Maritime and aerial transportation systems contained built-in capabilities for rapid military deployment. Industrial production capabilities presented perhaps the most surprising defensive potential. Manufacturing systems that could be transformed from civilian production to military equipment in remarkably short time frames. Advanced 3D printing technologies that could produce complex mechanical and electronic components with incredible speed and precision. "Observe this," Commander Vex called to his research team, highlighting a series of complex logistical models. Civilian infrastructure was not separate from defensive capabilities, but intricately integrated. Communication networks, energy production systems, transportation infrastructure. Each could be rapidly reconfigured for defensive purposes. Space-based defensive capabilities showed signs of emerging potential. Early warning satellite systems, preliminary missile defense technologies, research into advanced propulsion, and defensive shield concepts. While still in early stages, the research suggested a civilization preparing for potential extraplanetary challenges. The quantum processors parsed through massive amounts of strategic data. Each new analysis revealed another dimension of human defensive complexity. Their approach to security was not about singular, centralized defense systems, but about creating adaptive, distributed defensive capabilities. Nuclear deterrence strategies demonstrated a sophisticated understanding of strategic balance. Complex diplomatic networks, multilateral agreements, economic interdependencies that made large-scale conflict increasingly impractical. Humans had developed defensive strategies that went far beyond traditional military confrontation. Technological warfare capabilities proved equally sophisticated. Cyber defense systems that could neutralize potential technological threats. Advanced encryption technologies. Decentralized communication networks that could maintain functionality even under significant disruption. Commander Vex noticed something profound in the strategic data streams. Human defensive potential was not about overwhelming force, but about adaptive resilience. Where traditional military thinking focused on direct confrontation, humans had developed multi-layered defensive strategies that prioritized prevention and adaptation. Emergency response systems revealed another dimension of defensive capability. Rapid mobilization infrastructures. Comprehensive disaster response networks. Medical emergency systems that could be deployed with remarkable speed and efficiency. Each potential threat triggered a coordinated, multi-system response. The research team discovered something even more intriguing. Human defensive strategies were not static but constantly evolving. Open-source research platforms, collaborative security research networks, individual innovators working alongside massive military and technological institutions. Captain Tak observed the ongoing strategic analysis with growing fascination. Her experienced sensory organs detected a pattern that her younger crew members missed. This was not just defensive preparation. This was a species developing a comprehensive approach to planetary security that transcended traditional military thinking. The ship's strategic databases began to struggle with categorization. Existing galactic classification systems seemed inadequate to describe the complexity of human defensive potential. They were witnessing a civilization developing defensive capabilities that were more about adaptive resilience than traditional military might. As the planetary survey continued, the Zarkai researchers found themselves asking a question they had never considered before. What might happen when this species fully understood its defensive potential? The blue-green planet continued to spin silently, holding strategic secrets that were just beginning to be understood. The comprehensive planetary analysis entered its final stages, and the ZAR-K research team found themselves confronting a profound existential moment. What had begun as a routine survey had transformed into something far more significant. A potential watershed moment in galactic understanding. Captain Natak gathered her senior researchers in the central analysis chamber. Holographic displays surrounded them, each surface alive with layers of data that told a story more complex than any previous planetary investigation. The blue-green planet hanging in the viewscreen seemed to pulse with an almost living potential. "We are witnessing something unprecedented," she announced, her voice resonating with a mixture of professional analysis and genuine wonder. The quantum processors had been working continuously, parsing through petabytes of data that defied conventional classification. The collective potential of human civilization emerged as the most remarkable discovery. It was not about individual capabilities, but about a species-wide capacity for collective innovation. Every challenge seemed to trigger a complex, multi-dimensional response. Scientific challenges became collaborative opportunities. Environmental threats transformed into technological innovation platforms. Dr. Kex presented the most striking analysis. Humans were not just developing technologies or solving problems. They were creating entire ecosystems of innovation. Open-source research platforms, collaborative global networks, individual inventors working alongside massive research institutions. Each breakthrough created multiple unexpected pathways of development. Technological evolution demonstrated a pattern unlike any previously observed galactic civilization. Most species develop technologies through linear, predictable progression. Humans seem to innovate through a more organic, adaptive process. A single breakthrough could trigger transformative changes across multiple domains simultaneously. The psychological research revealed perhaps the most profound insight. Human motivation was not driven by singular objectives, but by a complex interplay of curiosity, collaborative spirit, and persistent hope. They viewed challenges not as insurmountable obstacles, but as opportunities for collective growth. Environmental adaptation strategies showed a holistic approach to planetary management. Climate research networks, ecological restoration projects, technological innovations designed to address planetary-scale challenges. They were not just surviving on their planet. They were actively working to understand and preserve their planetary ecosystem. Space exploration research demonstrated an almost audacious approach to technological frontiers. Preliminary missions to neighboring planetary bodies, advanced propulsion research, conceptual designs for interstellar exploration. Each project represented a leap of imagination that exceeded their current technological capabilities. "Look at this," Dr. Surik called, highlighting a series of complex biological and technological integration projects. Humans were not just adapting to their environment. They were actively working to understand the fundamental mechanisms of adaptation itself. Genetic research, technological augmentation, psychological resilience studies. The quantum processors continued to reveal layers of unexpected complexity. Human potential was not about singular capabilities, but about a remarkable capacity for collective problem-solving. Where individual humans appeared limited, their social systems and innovative spirit compensated dramatically. Communication networks demonstrated an organic quality of adaptation. Traditional infrastructure limitations were constantly overcome through innovative technological solutions. Mesh networks, satellite communications, decentralized platforms that could operate independently and reconstruct themselves. Captain Nantok detected something profound that her younger crew members missed. This was not just a developing civilization. This was a species on the brink of a fundamental transformation. Their potential was not defined by current capabilities, but by their capacity for continuous reinvention. The ship's data classification systems began to fail. Existing galactic research frameworks seemed woefully inadequate to describe the complexity of human potential. Traditional metrics of technological development, biological adaptation, and social evolution collapsed when applied to this unique planetary civilization. As the final layers of planetary data were analyzed, a profound silence descended in the research chamber. The Zarkad researchers found themselves confronting a fundamental question that challenged their entire understanding of civilizational development. What happens when a species refuses to accept its limitations? What potential lies within a civilization that views every challenge as an opportunity for collective growth? The blue-green planet continued to spin, holding secrets that were far more profound than anyone had initially suspected. A civilization was emerging, not through conquest or overwhelming force, but through an extraordinary capacity for adaptation, innovation, and hope. The universe, it seemed, was about to meet a species that would redefine the very concept of potential. The silent command chamber of the Zarkad vessel held a tension unlike any previous planetary survey in their extensive galactic history. Captain Tok stood at the central holographic interface, the accumulated data of their comprehensive planetary analysis surrounding her like a living, breathing entity. Senior researchers from multiple disciplines gathered, their sensory organs displaying a complex range of emotional and analytical responses. This was more than a routine report. This was a moment that would potentially reshape galactic understanding of emerging civilizations. We cannot approach this planet with our standard protocols, Captain Tok announced, her voice resonating with a mixture of professional caution and genuine respect. The preliminary reports challenged every established first contact procedure in galactic diplomatic history. Dr. Kex, the lead xenosociologist, presented the final comprehensive analysis. Humans were not just a developing civilization. They were a dynamic, adaptive system that defied conventional classification. Their potential for growth, innovation, and collective problem-solving suggested a species on the brink of a fundamental transformation. The biological research team had documented an extraordinary capacity for adaptation. Populations in different planetary regions had developed unique genetic variations. Their medical technology suggested they were actively working to understand and potentially modify their own biological limitations. Each challenge triggered a complex, multi-dimensional response. Technological analysis revealed an innovation ecosystem unlike any previously observed. Open-source research platforms, collaborative global networks, individual inventors working alongside massive research institutions. Their technological development was not linear but organic, each breakthrough creating multiple unexpected pathways of development. Strategic analysis suggested a sophisticated approach to planetary security. Defensive capabilities that went far beyond traditional military thinking. Adaptive infrastructure. Communication networks that could rapidly reconfigure. An approach to security that prioritized prevention, adaptation, and collective resilience. The risk of traditional first contact approaches is too high, Commander Vex argued, highlighting potential scenarios. Humans had demonstrated an extraordinary capacity to respond to unexpected challenges. Their technological and social systems could rapidly adapt to new information. The quantum processors had been working continuously, parsing through massive amounts of data. Each analysis revealed another layer of unexpected complexity. Traditional galactic first contact protocols would likely be perceived as a threat, triggering unpredictable responses. Captain Tok proposed a radical approach. Minimal intervention, passive observation. Create communication channels that respected human autonomy and potential for self-determination. The goal was not conquest or immediate diplomatic engagement but understanding. We are witnessing the emergence of a potential galactic civilization, she explained to her senior team. Our primary objective must be to observe, understand, and ensure we do not disrupt their natural developmental trajectory. The psychological research teams had uncovered something profound. Human motivation was driven by a complex interplay of curiosity, collaborative spirit, and persistent hope. They viewed challenges as opportunities for collective growth. Any external intervention needed to respect this fundamental characteristic. Diplomatic strategy discussions revealed the complexity of potential engagement. Multiple human cultural systems, diverse political structures, communication networks that operated with remarkable complexity. Traditional diplomatic approaches would be ineffective. The final recommendation took shape. create a minimal observational presence, develop communication technologies that could potentially be discovered by human scientific exploration, ensure absolute non-interference with their natural developmental process. We are not just making a first contact decision. Dr. Sarek noted, we are potentially witnessing the emergence of a civilization that could reshape our understanding of galactic potential. The quantum processors continued to parse through the accumulated data. Each analysis revealed another layer of human complexity. Their potential was not defined by current capabilities, but by their capacity for continuous reinvention. As the final report was compiled, a profound silence descended in the research chamber. The Zarkad researchers found themselves confronting a fundamental question that challenged their entire understanding of civilizational development. What happens when a species refuses to accept its limitations? What potential lies within a civilization that views every challenge as an opportunity for collective growth? The blue-green planet continued to spin, holding secrets that were far more profound than anyone had initially suspected. A civilization was emerging, not through conquest or overwhelming force, but through an extraordinary capacity for adaptation, innovation, and hope. The universe, it seemed, was about to meet a species that would redefine the very concept of potential.